So you're playing Street Fighter 6 and you've been grinding through ranked and you come to the realization, man, I used to level up to new ranks a lot faster than I have been recently. Well, you're definitely not alone, and there are certainly things that you could be doing that will have you springing forward through the ranks, going on 10+ win streaks, and getting those sweet dopamine hits. Today we're sharing 4 practical and easy to implement tips that will rocket you through lower ranks and be integral for you to survive once you're in the higher ranks. If you find this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel, and with that, let's get to the first helpful tip: do less.
Pop up. Nope, too slow, do less. Pop up. Pop up. You're doing too much, do less. Pop down.
It's easy to feel like the onus is on you to get things started and pounce on your opponents as quickly as possible so that they don't have time to do the same to you. But giving in too much to this instinct is a sign of fighting game immaturity and will quickly get you KO'd if you're facing a more even-keeled player. Spending too many mental resources on what your character could do versus on what your opponent is currently doing is a recipe for disaster, and yet so many players feel the need to be constantly attacking, jumping forward, drive rushing in, or going for drive impacts the moment their foe is close to the corner. In Street Fighter 6, developers have been fairly diligent about making sure there's an answer to just about every approach someone might take, but being ready with the right answer for a given moment goes from difficult to nearly impossible if you're constantly committing to preemptive attacks and maneuvers of your own. It's not to say that the game should be played in a completely reactionary fashion, but almost everyone who's stuck in a rank lower than Diamond could benefit from peppering a little to a lot more patience and observation into their gameplay. Especially in the lower ranks, your opponent will make a bad move that has an obvious counter to it with little to no coaxing from you. The problem comes when you can't take advantage of the opportunities when your foe jumps or dashes or drive impacts for no real reason because you're in the middle of recovering from a random jump, drive impact, or button press of your own. You'd be surprised at how many rounds opponents will outright give away because they're unwilling to stop spamming the same offensive maneuver that's gotten them this far. You can win entire matches just anti-airing stubborn foes who won't stop jumping, or stuffing players that won't take their foot off the drive rush pedal because it's their favorite way to get in. As you level up, you will have to start making first moves, but almost everyone naturally does too much of this to begin with, and limiting the number of commitments that you make will almost certainly cause you to rank up. Now that you're not super preoccupied, you can start working on tip number 2. Get better anti-airs. Having sharp anti-airs is as important and constantly relevant to fighting game players as dribbling is to a basketball player. You'll use this tool in almost every round of every game you play, and the impact of successful versus non-successful jump-ins is the deciding factor in tons of matches. You need to become intimately aware with what anti-airs your character has at their disposal, and then you need to make using them an instinctive part of your play. Here's why. If someone jumps forward, they can land their hardest hitting combo on you. Plus, they carry you towards the corner. Plus, they probably get continued pressure after the sequence is over. In other words, damage, positioning, and momentum. Even if you block an anti-air, your foe still gets a bit of meter chip from you, and they have plus frame advantage to potentially open you up with. Contrast all that with a well-timed anti-air and suddenly you keep all of your health, stop their momentum dead in its tracks, take some of their life instead, and send a message that says your options are limited because I'm ready for them. Street Fighter 6 does have a helpful anti-air practice option in its training mode that you can and should use, but nothing beats practicing in actual bouts. Get comfortable with anti-airs in that training mode practice, and then queue up casual matches and get in the mindset of caring more about learning than losing. The goal here isn't to win, it's to not miss anti-air opportunities. Just position your character as often as you can at prime jump range, which is about the distance you start the match at, and pepper in a little coaxing to encourage your opponents to take to the skies by throwing out a few fireballs or farther reaching normals. Spend most of your mental resources patrolling jumps, as every successful anti-air you get will make you closer to being able to react with them without having to think. When you go back to regular play, you'll soon find that you're ready to swat pesky airborne foes a lot more consistently than before. Alright, tip number 3, get your punishes down. If I had $1 for every time I saw this happen, I could have bought the deluxe edition. There's no excuse for suboptimal punishes in routine situations, and yet players don't tend to prioritize learning them. It's easy to freak out when a big opportunity suddenly comes your way, and yes, most of us do instinctively resort to throws for some reason, but you're leaving massive damage on the table and not leveling up as a result. Head into training mode, pull up a combo guide video for your character from awesome Street Fighter YouTubers like Vesper Arcade or MC Mora, and learn your best punishes for when your opponent whiffs a massively negative move like a DP or a command grab. Then do the same for when you score a counter drive impact or wall splat drive impact and a stun drive impact. Even after you've learned and practiced these in training, you'll probably still mess them up in the first few times you try them out in a real match, but you need to have these optimal punishes down if you're at all serious about getting better. Keep in mind also that these punishes will probably change a bit depending on things like your drive gauge, your super meter, your opponent's drive gauge, and your opponent's remaining health. The final tip is actually the first one you should implement, as it will guide you to the parts of your gameplay that are most lacking, and that's watch your replays. First of all, you have more holes in your play than you think, which is probably why just about everyone hates watching their matches back. The eyes you use to watch the game while you're playing are different from the ones you use to watch replays, and the information you get from doing so is crucial. As your gut causes you to cringe at the 15th missed anti-air or the 7th uncontested drive impact, you'll have a clear idea of what it is you need to practice the most. Street Fighter 6 has more bells and whistles than ever when it comes to replays, as you can choose to turn on things like dynamic frame data tracking and see exactly why certain situations played out the way they did. Maybe you're not inputting a command quite properly and that's why a particular combo isn't working. Maybe you're waiting just a bit too long after blocking to press a button and that's why your punishes aren't playing out the way they should. You even get the added benefit of seeing what the advantages and disadvantages of other characters' moves are, so you'll know whether or not you can contest them in the future. The insight this feature offers is immense. Here's an approach that you might find easy enough to get yourself to do. At the start of every training session, consider watching just one recent loss and taking note of one major thing that you did wrong. Just as we did with anti-airs, spend a little extra focus in that specific department during the following play session. Your replays hold the keys to your moving forward and leveling up. You just have to have the patience and humility to see what those are. And that's it. We'll get you out of here quickly so that you can go start practicing what you've learned. These 4 tips will give you the tools that you need to level up into the diamond ranks and beyond, though there's plenty more that we could share, so please let us know in the comments if you'd appreciate another one of these tip videos. In the meantime, here's a Footsies 101 guide that every serious fighting game player should watch if they want a strong foundation for their play. I've been John Velociraptor Guerrero for EventHubs. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.